Vroom vroom, NASCAR fans and racing fans, welcome back into another season, the 2022 season here of the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm your host, Jason Mattis, alongside William Blackwell each and every single week, and this is the Highline episode where we'll talk about the upcoming race. We'll, of course, look back at last week's race, but we'll really focus with the upcoming race, kind of deep dive into that race, give you guys our thoughts about it, and then obviously the drivers that we think will be in contention to take home that checkered flag. But let's get William's thoughts on the season. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. It's been a long off season, to say the least. Not much racing going on besides like Formula One and some dirt track racing here and there. But it's awesome. Like it really is to see the Cup Series back in action and more so with a whole new car on top of that. And I think it's going to produce a lot better side-by-side action and maybe we'll see a couple upset winners from time to time. But I am so looking forward to this season.
Yeah, this was I would say, a busier offseason than I think in years past because of the switch to the new car, right? And you haven't had a major change to the car in a couple of decades, and I think that made us an interesting offseason. You obviously had a lot of drivers, change teams. Kurt Busch, obviously, maybe most notably, they're switching over to 2311, but a lot of, guys moving parts. Now, Brad Keselowski moving over to Roush Fenway, where he's now part owner. So a lot was going on this weekend or this offseason. Let's do something that we don't normally do once we're in the season and we're just kind of in the grind, obviously, with this being the first episode. What are some of the things you're looking forward to, whether it's a new team or maybe a new driver that switched teams, or maybe what are something you're looking for the car? Because I know personally, myself with this car, I kind of like how every racetrack, except for the super speedways, will be at 1 horsepower, will be at 670 horsepower. That, to me, has my interest. So what are some of the things due to the offseason that you look forward to this season?
Well, one track last year had a whole new configuration pretty much, and it was Atlanta. And the way it's repaved and set up, it's going to race like a plate track. And I am so looking forward to see what the racing product will be there. Will it be pack racing or will it be tandem drafting? Time will tell. But one thing for all of us to keep our eyes on heading into this Sunday's race at Daytona is going to be parts. Because parts right now for the next gen car are very hard to come by. I know this because I've seen it off of multiple sources on Twitter that are pretty reliable, that Stewart-Haas Racing is heading into this weekend's race, the Daytona 500, with only 2 backups. And let's say, for an instant, in a duel, Eric Almirola and Cole Custer were to wreck out. That'd be both of their backups. And let's say Harvick or Briscoe were to get in a wreck in practice the following day. That's another backup. But where would that backup come from? And this will lead Stewart-Haas Racing into a pickle. Do they try to repair it? Or do they go out there and bribe another Ford team out there and pay them for the chassis? And it will probably be like a Carl Long team. They're a Ford. And I think they'll pay them and they get their money's worth out of it. But still, very interesting right there. Spare parts are hard to come by. But one driver to keep an eye on this year, one driver only, is going to be, I would have to say, the one-car Ross Chastain. And here's why. At the end of last year, Ross Chastain came on extremely well. He had a chance to win many races, one of them being, I remember, that's a heartbreaker. He was leading at the end, and the next thing you know, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson start running away with it. And his time is coming, and I think this year will be the year. And not to mention, he's had so much seat time in his next gen car, which is going to be a big factor early on in the season.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a factor. That's one of the things I want to talk about is how Bubba Wallace doesn't have much time in the car. He had an off season where he was doing other things. And I know Kurt Busch was doing a lot of the driving for the team of 2311 in terms of their practice sessions that they were doing with that. So that's an interesting note, that you pick up on. Another thing that I'm looking forward to this season is practice and qualifying comeback. Man, I may have missed that. Probably the most that I missed during the pandemic was just practicing qualifying, watching that, seeing how the cars can improve over the weekend. You don't really get that when you don't get practice qualifying. You get one shot at these cars on Sundays, and you don't get to see who's able to make those modifications throughout an entire weekend. So I think the format's going to be changed a little bit to practice qualifying, but either way, I think it's just nice to, go ahead and get that back. Let me go ahead and get your thoughts here. What's maybe a playoff driver that, is not going to be one of these guys that we know of, right? Your Logano's, Keselowski's, Busch brothers, what have you. What's maybe a playoff driver that you see being one of the 16 guys that maybe is kind of off the radar?
There are two drivers. Last year, like I made it kind of clear to the audience out there, I'm a Chase Briscoe fan. In the Clash, he had a great outing. Even though he had a mechanical failure, he was still pretty fast. And I think he will succeed in the next gen car. But someone that I'm really keeping a close eye on is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. racing for JTG Daugherty Racing. Last year, he was very inconsistent, to say the least. He had some great runs here and there. He even qualified on the front row for the Coca-Cola 600 last year, but quickly faded away at the start of the race. That was a big moment last year. And he also finished runner-up at the Bristol Dirt Race. And just maybe with 15 more laps added on, he would have probably chased down Logano and got the win. So I think this year he will get a win and he will get into the playoffs, but where will that win come from?
I think Stenhouse is going to get that win. I'm with you right there. I think he's going to do some good things. Whether it be a super speedway, which I think is obviously what he's most known for, I'm not sure. But he's kind of getting into just like a good driver. You know what I mean? Doing a lot with not maybe a lot of equipment. So I like the Stenhouse angle there as well. I'm looking forward to one of these young cats that are coming up on a road course, right? I know we've got one less road course. We're down to 6 this season. But to me, there's no reason why an Austin Cindric couldn't be one of these 16 drivers in the playoffs, or somebody like him who's, maybe not going to do as well in these cookie cutters or, super speedways, but just look out for them on these road courses. They're going to be stealing a playoff spot, I got a feeling.
It's going to be interesting, but a little bit more in Stenhouse. A lot of people want to criticize him for not being a excellent driver, hearsay, and I have a really big opinion about it. Stenhouse was rushed to the Cup Series, and he had to deal with them first 5 years in a terrible machine, and they were criticizing him for not finishing in the top 10 and winning races, which I think is completely a bad way of putting it. And Stenhouse is starting to be the driver that he was towards the end of his stint in the Xfinity Series back in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. He did come up to the series relatively early right there. All right, what else maybe from the offseason is on your mind there, William? Anything else?
I like how NASCAR is changing it around. Like we saw the Clash being at the LA Coliseum, and I have seen some rumors here and there about next year's Clash. Obviously, they're going to try to go back to the LA Coliseum if everything goes well. But they're also seen possibly going to Denver to race around the city, which would be an interesting race to say the least. And I also saw something called Suzuka. And a lot of Formula One fans will know what that is. That is in Japan. They ran this back in the 1990s and forgot who won that race. Was it Dale Sr.? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But it was a great race. But that would not work out in this time of age because racing at Japan around noon Eastern, their time will be about roughly early in the morning, around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. here in the United States. So it's going to be very hard to get a big audience there. So I will mark that out. So most likely Denver for next year, and it is very intriguing to me.
Well, you mentioned that Clash. That Clash was very successful. Moving out to the LA Coliseum, they got exactly what they want in terms of the attention and the pop that they got. That Clash was very successful. It was entertaining. I thought there was going to be more wrecks, a little bit more wreck heavy, just because was that quarter-mile short track. But just in terms of what NASCAR would have wanted to get out of it, boy, they got everything out of it from a rating perspective, from an attention perspective. It was quite successful to me.
Yeah, but did you realize, when they had some of them wrecks, in one of the qualifying races, Almirola got turned around, and in the main event, Justin Haley wrecked. They barely touched the wall, and they got so much darn damage. And that is something to keep an eye on heading into Daytona, because when one car gets in a wreck, back in the day, they might be able to repair it and keep on going. This time around, it might not be so forgiving, so you might want to keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I talked about last year on one of the racetracks we were talking about when Hamlin got alongside Elliott, I think it was, and cut his tire down so easily. That was one of the things I was looking to see maybe in this next-gen car, if it was going to be a little bit more durable, a little bit more tougher. But now you're right. We didn't quite, I guess, initially see that so far in the Clash. The toughness of the car wasn't there, obviously. All right, let's. Anything else there? Do you want to jump on into it? It's a little different this year. We don't have the jackpot races, but anything else, or do you just want to jump into it?
I think we nailed it all. One thing to keep your eye on here, entering Daytona. One last thing, There's 36 charter teams, and all 36 of them are guaranteed into the race. But there is a 40-car lineup, but there are 42 entries, so that means 2 cars will go home. And the open list is the 27 car of Jack Villeneuve, a former Formula One champ, which is a big deal to see him in NASCAR. The second one will be the 44 car of Greg Biffle. Coming out of retirement, he last made an appearance in the Truck Series back in 2019, and he collected a win at Texas in the 51 truck for Kyle Busch. You got Kaz Grala racing for Floyd Mayweather's team, the Money Team, and the 55 of J.J. Yeley, and the 62 of Noah Gragson, and the 66 car of Timmy Hill. 4 will get in, and 2 will go home.
Yep, no, that's good stuff right there. All right, let's remind everybody what we do around here. Normally, there's 3 apps that we answer questions for. There's the Jackpot Races, there's the NBC Sports Predictor app, and there's also the Fox Bet Super 6 app. At the time of doing this recording, we're Monday afternoon, just after the Super Bowl. There is no Jackpot Races app, which it does seem to be a little bit strange because in the app it says, will return next season. And you guys remember from playing the game next season, they always had about 3 tabs across the top where they had, the next 2 weeks already populated in the app. So we may not have the jackpot races this season. We may not have it this week, but if we do get it, we'll, of course, incorporate that app into this game. But let's start with what we do have, and let's start with the NBC Sports Predictor app where we can win $10,000. They give you 3 stages. You got to pick the driver to finish best amongst that stage, and then you got to round it out and give them a top 3. So we'll toss over to William first in stage 1 between Burton, Busch, Kurt Busch, that is, Harvick, and Truex Jr. Who's going to finish best in stage 1?
All right, this is very interesting. Kurt Busch, he is racing in a Toyota. And in years past, the Toyotas in the Daytona 500 have played it safe. And they've been riding around in the back just avoiding wrecks. So I would mark away Truex and Kurt Busch. And it leads me to putting up on the board giving Harrison Burton, because Harrison Burton, he's a rookie. He don't know much better. He's going to go out there and try to lead as much laps as he can. So I got Burton.
Harrison Burton for you. I'm going to stay with not picking the Toyotas. I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. Just been good here at the Super Speedways. He's got 3 top 5s in his last 12 races, 5 top 10s in his last 12 races here at the Super Speedway. So a guy that I expect also to have a nice bounce back year. I know, Stewart-Haas Racing was struggling. They could just never figure it out. We saw multiple interviews there with Tony Stewart and how he pretty much waved the white flag late in that season, early, so to speak, waving the white flag. But I'm expecting a nice bounce back from Harvick, and I expect him to start with this weekend at the Daytona 500. So Kevin Harvick for me in stage 1. Stage 2, let's move it over to Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace. I'm going to go ahead and go with Brian Blaney. I think this guy's going to have a fantastic season. I think he's going to be the better driver in Team Penske when it's all said and done at the end of the season. So go ahead and give me Ryan Blaney in stage 2. What about for you?
There are 2 things. Blaney is really good in the 500 when you're looking at someone that's reliable and not going to wreck out. He's rarely wrecked out of it, and then he's almost won the race in the past. I about said he won it, but he lost at the start and finish line. And I'm just seeing now on my computer, Kyle Larson is allowed to be asking teams for an Indy 500 ride. Totally off track, but getting back on. Ryan Blaney is very consistent, but I'm going to go and pick Denny Hamlin. Earlier, I kind of mentioned the Toyotas want to play it safe, but Hamlin is not listening to none of them T-orders at all. He's going to go out there and lead laps and possibly win himself another Daytona 500, which will make it 4 big trophies in his room.
Denny Hamlin's good at super speedways. Toyota, you're onto something, though. They're a complete mess. I remember last year at Talladega. Remember when all the Toyotas, they did something? Oh, yeah, they all had to move to the rear due to, pre-race adjustments, but Kyle Busch didn't. It's like, what'd you leave one car out of the whole strategy? The whole team goes to the back, but Kyle Busch. I don't know. Toyotas don't have it together at super speedways. All right, stage 3, give them one. You got to pick between Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Joey Logano.
All right, this right here is going to be very interesting because I think this Sunday, or Sunday night, if you will, you'll see a lot of wrecks. And a lot of these drivers like Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch, they will be collected in the big one. And I really feel confident in picking maybe a Joey Logano. He might wreck, he might not, but he will be the highest out of all of them. I just like what the Fords have been doing. They've been riding around, no aggressive moves here and there, but they let them race, and I think Logano will have a shot to finish higher than all of them.
I'm with you right there. I like the Fords here at the Super Speedway. Give me Joey Logano. He's got the best driver rating, led the most laps in the last 12 races here at the Super Speedway. Yeah, I like Joey Logano. Easy for me. All right, you got to give him a top 3 to go ahead and round out this app. So who do you've got taking the checkered flag, and who's going to be in P2 and P3?
All right, here. Winning this Sunday's race at the Daytona 500. I don't know if I gave it away a little bit earlier, but it's going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for JTG Daugherty Racing. Stenhouse in the past has collected many top 10 finishes, but he did have a heartbreaker a couple years ago. Racing the 47 car at Talladega, he lost it at the start and finish line by a couple of inches. Fast forward 1 year later at Bristol, a heartbreaker runner-up finish. This year, the heartbreakers are no longer going to happen for him. He will get the job done, and it will be this Sunday at the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. But finishing runner-up will be Ryan Blaney in the 12 car. I picked Hamlin in the second round, but I think he will wreck out in the stage 3. And then finishing third is going to be Joey Logano. I really like him, and he can possibly win his second career Daytona 500 this Sunday. And he's going to have a great season. I feel it, because last year, similar to Kevin Harvick, was a very bad year. Logano only collected 1 win, which was at the Bristol Dirt Race. And he is not known for being a dirt racer. And I think this year's going to be a big turnaround.
Hopefully not. I got a future bet that I gave out on this YouTube channel right here a little bit earlier ago that Joey Logano would have less than 2 wins on the season. So I got him winning 1. I just don't have him winning 2. I think Ryan Blaney's really going to be the guy here at Team Penske to kind of carry it now that Brad Keselowski's gone into that next phase there for that
He
team.
did last year. He led the team in wins.
I know. Yeah, Blaney was really good. All right, let me give you my top 3 for this weekend. I'm going to go ahead for a winner. Look, you guys know from Super Speedways, I love putting in bets, at least from sports betting perspective. Love betting NASCAR every week, but I do not bet the Super Speedways, Talladega, and Daytona, because there's just a lot of unknown big wrecks, and you can, just have a perfect day just ruined, obviously, just due to a big wreck. But to pick a winner at Daytona, you got to pick a guy that is at least up there giving himself a chance when the unknown is going to happen. You know who's had 3 of the last 5 finish in the top 10? Only time I'm going to predict them all season long. You're never going to hear it again. It's Corey LaJoie. Corey LaJoie is going to be taking home that checkered flag. 3 of the last 5, he's finished in the top 10. You've got to get somebody that just has a chance. Who's going to be up there giving themselves a chance so when the car is all wrecked, they can come through and they can take that checkered flag. It's Corey LaJoie. Right behind him is going to be Blaney. I do like that pick of Blaney, just like everything about him. I almost went Joey Logano in number 3, but I went Ross Chastain just because it's the Super Speedway and there's got to be some sort of a mix-up. I did like what Chastain was doing towards the end of the season. You mentioned it earlier, just in that playoff where there's like a 2 or 3 straight race stretch where he was unstoppable, one of the best drivers in the circuit. So Ross Chastain for me, P3. That'll be my top 3 of LaJoie, Blaney, and Chastain.
Wow, that LaJoie pick is very intriguing because last year, if I'm not mistaken, at the playoff cutoff race at Daytona, he had a chance to win it, actually. And I really liked that, but he blew it, but still.
Yeah.
He was still up there when it all meant the most. So I like that.
Yeah, so we're going Corey LaJoie. All right, sweet. All right, let's move it over now to the Fox Bet Super 6 app. This will be one of the games that we'll cover each and every single week. This one, you can win $10,000. All you need to do is correctly answer all 6 questions. Take home that $10,000. Nothing to it. Easy to it. Let's go ahead and get William's question for number 1. Who's going to have the fastest lap at the end of stage 2?
For question number 1, I am going to pick Martin Truex Jr. In the plate tracks, he is very reliable, and he's going to keep his machine really well, and he's going to stay in the back until it means the most. And Truex, I think, will be the person to pick in round number 1 or question number 1.
Truex, that's a surprise to me. I don't think of him as much of a super speedway kind of guy. I wouldn't Truex, of those names that given, I picked Joey Logano. Just been really dominant at the super speedway. So 1 lap, he's going to be the fastest one at the end of stage 2. All right, who's going to lead the most laps then, William, at the end of stage 2?
Oh yeah, but back for Truex, he's going to be in the back of the pack.
Right.
The fastest car is usually going to come from the tail end of the pack because they're drafting. So that's why I thought Truex. I forgot that add-on on. But leading the most laps in the 500 will be Denny Hamlin. Toyotas love to have a strategy which is riding in the back, but Hamlin says to hell with it, and he does his own thing, which is sometimes not a bad thing. He has 3 Daytona 500 wins, and this year maybe be the year, but he will lead some laps, and I think he will lead the most laps out of this group.
Hamlin for you, Hamlin for me. I agree with everything you said. So, yep, I really like Denny Hamlin right there. All right, how many lead changes will there be then, William, at the end of stage 2?
All right, here. In years past, the lead changes have been very, I don't know, it's very hard to come by because, like, they'll want to be like in a single file and getting the laps put in the books. But this year, the next Gen car, I think it's going to be chaotic from start to finish. I'm saying the answer will be B, which is 11 through 20.
11 to 20 is what I got as well. That's because there was only 22 last season. So this question is at the end of stage stage 2, if there's only 22 all of last season at the Daytona 500, 11 to 20 just sounded right. So I'm right there with you, 11 to 20. All right, where's the pole sitter? We have no idea who the pole sitter is. I want you to try and predict on a Monday afternoon, not knowing who that driver is. Where is he going to be at the end of stage 2, William?
All right, I've kind of assumed that the pole sitter will be a Hendrick car, and I think it will be Alex Bowman for the second year in a row, and I think he will wreck out, and I say F, 11th or higher.
He's going to wreck out early. All right, not even going to, wow, not even going to make it. I'm on 11th or higher just because of sheer probability. I mean, 11th or higher is a lot of other chances than boxes me into 1 through 10. So, yeah, I'm definitely with you there on 11 through higher. What manufacturer is going to have the most cars in the top 10 if it's not a tie?
All right, here, and I was wanting to hit this earlier, but like out of the power rankings, out of the strategies, out of the three manufacturers at a plate track, it has to be Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. Toyota is in last place by a mile, a distant mile, because they can't do nothing at all. But I say Chevy because they really work well together.
Chevy? All right, I'm going Fords, and I was really turned off with what they did kind of at Daytona, or not Daytona, at Talladega. I remember watching that race there on Monday afternoon where Bubba Wallace was able to get the victory there, rain-shortened race. I was just kind of put off by what the Fords did, but I kind of like the Fords. I'm going Fords. Fords are generally better than what I saw at Talladega.
Yeah, last year they ruined it for Talladega, like you said, and then nearly ruined it in the Great American Race at Daytona 500, where, remember, Logano was leading on the backstretch, and Logano, or his teammate Keselowski, was getting a run, and McDowell wrecked both of them. I don't know, that's sort of uncalled for, but it is going for the biggest win of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But that could have ruined it all for the Ford camp, and Chase Elliott and Austin Dillon were right there to act upon that if it were to happen. And they did get solid top 5 finishes, but that is a worrying sign for the Ford camp as they enter the Daytona 500 when you're looking at someone that's going to work well together.
Yeah. Well, they got the winner, right? Michael McDowell last season. Was able to get the win. So, yeah, they know what they're doing. All right, question 6. I assume I already know your answer. You're going Ricky Stenhouse then, I assume, right? Based on which driver is going to finish the best out of the plethora they give you?
Yeah, it's going to be Stenhouse. But one point I forgot to add for question number 5, you said the Ford. They did win 75% of the plate tracks last year.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, and and then they probably would have done well. Yeah, oh yeah, right. Because Keselowski won one lap at Talladega. He led the last lap. I remember Keselowski came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and stole
but
that.
Talladega, that's a so offsetting result right there because that could have been so different. But that's what really persuaded my decision to go towards Chevy. But for number 6, you said it will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to have the year. And he's going to collect many wins, and I think win number 1 will be at Daytona. I am so looking forward to see what happens with him moving forward. Because he might not be with JTG Daugherty Racing, because this offseason is going to be lit, as a lot of youngins will say, in the free agency market. And Stenhouse might be due for a payday, whether he might go to a bigger team or he'll stay at JTG Daugherty Racing, because silly season is right around the corner. It's not like it's going to happen at the end of the year. It's going to start happening around mid to late March as negotiation periods start to open. And Stenhouse will be in a payday in my decision, or I expect to be in a payday.
Yeah, I do too. Now, a young guy that's still ascending, I think still very much on the way up. I think he's very much so. All right, so you're going Chevys. Hey, picking Chevys is never a bad thing, right? I mean, look at their domination last season. Chevys as a whole. Yeah, can't go wrong with the initial race picking Chevy out of the gate, and a lot of unknown car, unknown racetrack. Obviously, most important, just a really unknown racetrack. I look forward to next week's race when we can actually talk more historical data, more what these guys can do on, or are they going to Phoenix? I believe it is next. Do they go to Phoenix?
It's Auto Club. It's Auto Club, and it's going to be pretty similar to Daytona, what I'm believing,
Okay.
because they're going to be drafting down the straightaways.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, I'm just not a big fan of super tracks. I look forward to really getting in here with you and talking next week and breaking them down. So I look forward to that. And then, of course, next week, we'll always do the Jackpot Races app. We'll do the NBC Sports Predictor app. And, of course, we'll do the Fox Bet Super 6 app as well. All right, man. It's Daytona 500. Football is over. We turn our attention now to NASCAR. How about that?
Yeah, it's awesome. Racing is starting back up, and I'm ready to see it for I think it's 37 more weeks, and it'll be awesome.
All right, this is the Highline Podcast. He's William Blackwell. I am Jason Mattis. We'll see you here each and every single week. We'll preview the upcoming race. Hit that like button on your way out. Enjoy the race, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I wanted to wrap this show up with telling you guys that on that NBC Sports Predictor app, if you played last season and you joined that Winning Bets League, you're used to me putting up $25 each and every single week to the winner of the Winning Bets League. Hey, let's go ahead and run that back this year. So let's do that. Let's create the Winning Bets League. You can grab that league information from this video description. Everybody will need that league information because it's a different league than last season. 2022 has its own league. So just simply do that. Join the league. Compete against your fellow Winning Bet supporters. Whoever has the most points after each and every single week will win $25. I say $25 with the caveat of if I'm able to beat you, you'll only win $20. Although if you and I have the same score in first place with the exact same injury, you can win $30. So potentially 30, you're guaranteed to maybe win 25 or maybe 20 come worst case scenario. But either way, each and every single week, I'm going to be giving out money. So join the Winning Bets League, compete against your fellow Winning Bets supporters, and take my money each and every single week. Again, the league information's in this video description. All right, that's it. That's Daytona. Come back next week. We'll see you then. That was a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and good luck with your picks. If interested in placing real sports bets, then check out my latest daily free sports betting video in the bottom right corner. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next contest.